Hi, everybody. This is Bob Iacino along with Mike Arnold, March 27th p.m. Path Chat covering futures. We are from Path Trading Partners, as you may or may not know at this point. You should have seen that in that sort of little introductory cube rotation with our logo on there. Anyway, Mike is going to talk about the futures markets. He's going to cover the Dow Jones, transports, the S&P, the NASDAQ, crude oil, copper, gold, and silver. Couple of things. The futures opened respectively down today based almost solely on the idea that the American Health Care Act, the AHCA, didn't pass. But the market recovered in toward the end of the day, which it should have, because this is not really relevant to the reasons that the market was up directly. It's indirectly relevant because we don't know if Trump policies are going to go through, although I consider this Ryan care, not Trump care. I think this was more a failure on Speaker Ryan's part than it was on the president's part. We can go into that more probably on this week's podcast at the end of the week. Copper, I want to talk about really quickly, and really quickly crude. Crude oil, the OPEC ministers met this week and didn't do anything, which was probably one of the better outcomes considering the tension between the OPEC nations, where you've got nations like Nigeria, Iran, and Iraq overproducing. So they didn't agree to extend it. They discussed it. They probably will coming into the summer driving season. We're not seeing that yet. And copper, Freeport-McMoRan got the export licenses for its Grasberg mine in Indonesia. So you'll be seeing supply hitting the market from there, as well as the BHP Billiton's Escondida mine in Chile. Chile is the largest copper producing country. Escondida was on strike for 43 days. They settled that strike. They're going back to work. There's some complications, but they are going back to work. But in the meantime, let me turn it over to Mike to show you what he is seeing on the charts.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Bob. Hope everyone had a wonderful trading day today. So you see we gapped also lower in the transports. And when we cover our futures thing, we also mean if we have any indices in there, they're just lumped in with our futures updates. So we gapped lower, went slightly below our next scan level, projected down, and really close to a former breakout level. Found some support there, rallied back up above the trend line. This is not a valid trend line trade then, because we gapped down and then closed above it. Even if we had closed below it, it would not have been a triggered trend line trade. So this is a really definitive line in the sand. The trend line will probably get redrawn here. Continued rally tomorrow. Watch for an 89.81 level, followed by 89.96, followed by 9.12. Then we have very significant area right here around 9.24. If we rally all the way through that and into the rotation zone, next target higher is 9,087. If we do turn lower, 88.10 to today's low, which came in at 87.9827, is going to be key area support. Then if that is broken, watching for 87.62 to 87.54, followed by 87.19. Over to the industrials. All right, same thing. Nice big gap down, open lower. Came to right around that 50% level we've been talking about, 24.23, rallied back above the 50, and then went all the way back up to the prior support level of 20,562, which we've talked about. Further rally tomorrow, watch for 2609, followed by 2674 area, then possibly all the way up to the upper end of the rotation zone at 2737 on a major rally, not necessarily in one day, but over a series of days. If we pull back, again, possible support around 20,476, followed by the 20,423 level, and then all the way down to the bottom end of the critical support zone at 20,351. S&P. See the huge wick left behind here. Almost got all the way down to the 62.5% GAN level before closing up. This, even though it did close below a trend line, would not be a trend line trade either, because it was an up close below a trend line, which does not trigger a trade. So further rally tomorrow, watching for resistance around 23.45, 23.49 to 50, 23.54. Then if we were to get through all of that, prior breakdown zone 23.63. If we turn lower tomorrow, 23.32, followed by 23.29. Then we don't have any real major support until around the 23.17 to 23.16 area. Finally, NASDAQ found support on the gap lower near one of the key lows last week, dipped below the trend line and promptly got back above it. Nearly closed around the key gain level 23.75. Further rally tomorrow. Watch for resistance around 23.94, followed by this declining trend line, which comes in about 5,400 to 5,406. Then 5,416 is going to be very major resistance. If we turn around, go lower, support coming in around 53.40, followed by the 53.17 to 16 area, and then all the way back down to 53.01. Jumping over to crude oil. Briefly dipped below the trend line, could not sustain that move. We have very strong support around 47.10 to 47.01. So if you do see this key level violated, especially on a closing basis, we could see a sharp move down to the 46.16, then the 45.31 to 45.21 area. Rallied back up to the declining rotation zone, and then we still closed lower. If we move back up tomorrow, watch for 48.37, followed by 48.71. Then we have right around 49.30 will be the areas we are watching for. Again, decline. Watch for some minor support at 47.67, followed by nothing really down until that 47.01 to 47.10 area. Over to some metals. You go to copper first. Copper, big gap down, big move down, then snap back. Got briefly below this trend line, tested a couple key levels we've talked about, and snapped back up. Continued rally tomorrow, resistance 20 around 265.26. And if we're to get through there, next thing is about 267.25, followed by 268.92. If we decline tomorrow, key support coming in at 261.76, followed by 260.65. Followed by a little GAN cluster area around 258.9. Over to gold. Rallied up to a nice GAN level projection right around the 1260 level. Closed back down near our prior defining point, just above the 1253.30. Rally back up for a watch for retest of the 1260.60. 1262 level, then possibly significant resistance around 1265. If we pull back, watching for really strong support around 1246 to 1247, and then if that's broken, 1243, 1240, and 1238. And finally, silver. Very strong move up today, getting back above our 75% GAN level from our prior retracement, 1811. Continued rally tomorrow, 1818 to 1820 area resistance, and then we're looking at running all the way up to about 1830 to 1832, and then above there, 1846 to 1853. On a pullback, key support coming in at this $18 mark, and if that's broken, looking for 1789. If for some reason we get a larger pullback than that, we're looking at 1781. That's all we have for you. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Michael. If you haven't already, follow us on Twitter, Path_trading, and there is a new Money Path podcast out. You can find that at pathtradingpartners.com or type in the Money Path podcast into iTunes or Google Play. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching.